plus employees in the Commonwealth. We've invested over $1 billion in utility infrastructure in the United States. Current operational capacity is 637 megawatts with a very large 5.4 gigawatt pipeline of activity behind it. Operational projects in the Commonwealth, an additional one in Pennsylvania. 4 projects in construction will be under construction this year in the Commonwealth. And one thing that we like to highlight about ourselves is we have a commitment to buying and using American-made products. Of where we are in the Commonwealth, you can see it's kind of spread out, but those are all operational projects. Reduce project size, increase setbacks, one of the key features of solar that, especially on a site like this, you're not going to see it, you're not going to hear it, produces no pollution. After construction, you're not going to even know it's there. Over the lifespan of the project, it will produce roughly $10 million in revenue for Amherst County, including a $2.4 million upfront siting agreement payment. On the site, you see what, this is, kind of the history of the site is this was part of mining operations and historic tailings ponds. So the areas that are kind of highlighted, they were tailings ponds as part of the U.S. titanium operation that's across the river. DEQ and federal EPA list renewable energy projects as one of their best practices for reuse of brownfield sites. It would be enrolled in Virginia Department of Environmental Quality's voluntary remediation on the site. The site is 85% of the site is shielded by existing dense tree cover. That basically you see the thick green outline along the property. That's all existing mature tree cover. And that exceeds Amherst County standards. On the section of the property, there is, a lack of vegetation, and what we're proposing to install there is 3 rows of evergreen trees that fast growing, again planted prior to construction here. One of the things that we heard about was the Blue Ridge Railway Trail. Will this have an impact on it? So you see from the top, you see where we took the viewpoint, and the bottom shows the topo from the trail as opposed to the topo of the site. So 2 things that we want to highlight is there's a significant elevation change from the trail to the site, and then the panels themselves are tucked behind a 10 to 15 foot berm, and that kind of theme continues around the site. And effectively what this does is make it impossible to see the panels from the trial. Everything above and below ground will be removed. Any roadways that are created will be returned to natural. The big question always is, what happens to your panels? What happens to the panels at the end of the lifespan? Well, our panels get recycled. We know that because we have a contract with First Solar. We buy their panels from them. They have an existing operational recycling facility. 25 times increase in the revenue that was realized over the lifespan of the project. In year 1, that's basically the equivalent of a 10-cent one-time tax increase. So currently right now, the annual revenue coming off of this site is $8,762. Under solar facility, after construction, it would be $167,000 roughly on an annual basis.
I'll say this to the developer, you try it really. I think that what's important to note is this really isn't a debate on the merits of solar energy, right? I don't know if the majority of you know that we have approved 2 solar projects in the county in what, past year and a half, 2 years? Somewhat smaller scale. In this instance, I think the impacts from the development are going to be primarily to the people in the immediate area and the people traveling 151. Our planning commission is charged with preparing our comprehensive plan. They live that document, they breathe that document, and how we want to support our farmers and how we want to. Heck, we're talking about the possibility of building an ag complex in the future, right? Well, one of the big things about the future land use map, the agricultural limited, which I believe this is, the general intent of the agricultural district is to encourage farming and maintain rural qualities in areas designated, and this is not a use permitted by rights, it is a special exception, okay? I think our planning commission got it right, not once, twice.
What I have heard from probably well over 100 citizens probably isn't reflective here, but they were just really concerned about the farmland. And thank you for interjecting in spite of the fact that it didn't come out the way you all want. You all have been readily available, you've answered questions, and I think that you made, an attempt here. It just wasn't the right spot.